Most people think that their business problem is a lack of ideas. It's not. They think they need a new strategy, a better product, more motivation, or some other mysterious playbook. Now, after years of watching businesses stall, fail, or spin circles, I've noticed something different. Most businesses don't fail because they're missing something. They fail because they're messy. Messy thinking, messy priorities, messy execution, messy numbers. So today I want to walk you through a framework that I use to test any business strategy or direction. It's called CLEAN. It's simple, it's not trendy, and it works. So if your business isn't working the way you want it to, there's a very good chance that it's failing in one of these 5 areas. So let's get clean. C, clarity. Clarity is the most important one because if you get this wrong, nothing else matters. So here's the question. What problem are you actually solving and for who? Clarity. Now most of us, we answer this way too vaguely. They say things like, I help people grow their business. Oh, I'm really passionate. I offer great service. Well, none of that is clarity. Clarity is you can explain your business in 1 or 2 sentences without rambling. If you can't explain it clearly, then your customers won't understand it clearly. And then they won't buy. Now, here's where most businesses get stuck. They describe what they do, not what problem they solve. Customers don't buy features, they buy relief. What problem are you solving? They buy solutions to confusion, frustration, risk, uncertainty, and pain. This is why it's so important to have clarity. Now, if you don't understand what pain you're removing, your marketing is going to feel forced. So here's a test I want you to do. If someone asks you, what do you do? Can you answer it without using any buzzwords? If not, clarity is missing. Okay, so if it's not clear, it won't scale. Now, clarity does 3 things. It sharpens your messaging, it simplifies your decisions, and it filters distractions. I don't have room to write that. Now, when you're clear, you know what to say yes to, and you know what to say no to. Very important in business. Most people aren't overwhelmed because they're in business. They're overwhelmed because they lack clarity. All right, so let's go on to the next one. L, leverage. Now this is where effort gets exposed. Now leverage asks this question: where does one action create multiple results? We all know that not all work is equal. Some actions move the needle a little bit. Some actions multiply. Most people work hard, but they're missing leverage. They think more hours, more output. That's true, a little bit. But what if we could do less hours, more output? See where I'm going? Now more hours, more output, that caps you. Leverage is when one piece of work keeps paying you. It's one decision that removes 10 problems. It's one system that replaces constant effort. One piece of work keeps paying you. I should put that in all caps. Here's some examples of leverage. A process instead of constant explanation. A system instead of memory. And distribution instead of hustle. Now, a lot of people confuse being busy with being effective. Leverage is not necessarily exciting. In fact, it's probably the opposite. It might seem boring. Building once instead of repeating forever, thinking longer before acting, saying no more often, none of that really sounds fun, but it scales. All right, so under leverage, ask yourself one question. Okay, where does one action create many results? Now, if your business requires you to be present for every dollar made, it's missing leverage. It doesn't mean that it's bad, but it does mean that there's a cap, meaning you can only earn as much money as you're able to make yourself. All right, let's move on to E, execution. Hopefully I can spell this right. Execution is where most people lie to themselves. They say, I know what to do, or I have a plan, I just need more time. Execution isn't about knowing, it's about doing the boring things consistently. Every business has its ups and downs. Execution asks what actually gets done repeatedly, not once, not when you feel motivated, but repeatedly. Most people don't fail because their strategy was wrong. They fail because their execution was inconsistent. Now, execution requires simplicity, repetition, and discipline. Once again, execution requires simplicity, repetition, and discipline. And complex plans don't get executed. Now, the more complicated your strategy is, the less likely it's going to survive real life. That's why the best businesses often look really simple from the outside. Simple doesn't mean easy, it means executable. Now, if your strategy needs perfect conditions to work, it's not gonna work. Execution favors clear next actions, daily movement, and progress over perfection. Momentum beats genius every time. All right, on to A, alignment. This one's subtle, but is dangerous if it's ignored. Alignment. asks, does this business support the life, forgot to put life, you actually want? That's pretty important. So here's what no one warns you about. You can build a profitable business that traps you. You can grow something that pays well, that looks successful, but the reality is it slowly drains you. Misalignment shows up as constant frustration, burnout, resentment toward your own business. A lot of times people ignore it because the money's great or it looks good on paper. So something to remember, short-term wins can destroy long-term success. Alignment means your business matches your values. Alignment means your growth doesn't come at the cost of your health. My first video I posted on Pro Business Talk, I interviewed Calvin Bagley. Those of you who don't know who he is, I really suggest you should check out that interview. He came from nothing, raised poor, and now owns 7 businesses. Extremely successful. He talked about a racehorse. Would you feed your racehorse garbage food? Would you allow your racehorse to not get the rest that it needs? Would you allow your racehorse to be abused in any way? And the answer is no. So then, why would we do that to ourselves in business? Alignment means your success doesn't require you to become someone you don't respect. Very important. If you hate how you earn money, eventually you're going to sabotage it. Alignment keeps you in the game long enough to win. On to N. Numbers. What are your numbers? If I asked you today what your numbers are, could you tell me directly? Now, numbers, this is where feelings die, and the reality, it shows up. Everything you need to know about your business is right here in your numbers. Numbers ask simple questions. Does the math actually work? Some say, the math ain't mathin'. Hope is not strategy. You need to know your numbers. You need to know your margins. You need to know your break even. You need to know your cost of growth. You also need to know the cost of your mistakes. Did you know that your mistakes can be calculated into your yearly budget? A lot of people don't know that. Too many people build businesses on vibes and not real numbers. They'll say, hey, we'll make it up in volume. No, because volume adds more labor, adds more cost, adds more time, breaking even at a higher and higher level. A lot of times we'll say, we'll figure it out later. Time out. Don't do that. Once it scales, it'll work. That's actually backwards thinking. The reality is you should start with these things in mind to build your systems, to build your process, and to scale. Rather than trying to change it later, it becomes way more difficult. Still doable, but becomes way more difficult to do these things later. If the numbers don't work small, they won't work big. So scaling broken math just creates bigger problems. If you don't know your numbers, they control you. You don't need to be a finance expert. You just need to be honest. Numbers don't care how hard you work or how passionate you are. At the end of the day, they only care if the math works. And if the math ain't mathin', it ain't working. All right, let's put it all together. A clean business has a clear message. Clarity, most important. If it's not clear, it won't scale. A clear business has leverage in effort. One piece of work keeps paying you. Building once instead of repeating forever. And where does one action create many results? A clean business has execution. Simplicity, repetition, and discipline. Complex plans don't get executed. Alignment. Does this business support the life you actually want? Very important question. Does your business match your value? Does your success require you to become someone you don't respect? Make sure you are aligned in your business. Numbers. Make sure the numbers make sense. Does the math actually work? If they don't work small, they're not going to work big. And if you don't know your numbers, they control you. If one or multiple things here on the clean chart are missing, failure is just delayed. This framework is not about perfection, but more about awareness. Now, if you guys ever feel stuck in business, you don't have a direction, you feel lost, you can always come back to this. Where am I not clean? Did you wash your armpits? In business, metaphorically. In closing, most people don't need another idea. They simply need fewer ideas and better execution. Clean up your thinking, clean up your strategy, clean up your priorities. Clarity creates confidence, and confidence compounds. So if your business feels heavy right now, don't panic. Clean it up. All right, that's what I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys want some business coaching, I'll leave a link down below in the description. Send me your name, your email, your contact information. I will get back to you. All right, I'm Rand with Pro Business Talk. Hit that like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.